Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 3683BN. Today's date is July 9th, 2025, and the title of the episode is D's Took the Epstein Bait, Comey, Brennan, multiple agencies investigating. It's all connected. Let's talk about protecting our wealth. You probably think your 401k is safe, that it's growing, that'll be enough for your retirement. But what if it's not? Here's the truth. Your 401k was never designed to make you wealthy. It was created in a corporate boardroom to shift retirement costs and investment risks onto you. Designed to keep your money trapped, exposed to Wall Street crashes, inflation, uncertainty you can't control. Until now, Americans are taking back control by turning to real assets like gold. Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands protect their future by converting part of their retirement savings into physical gold. Talk to Noble Gold today and learn how safe and easy it is to roll over your 401k into a tax-advantaged gold IRA without penalties or headaches. Visit x22gold.com to get your free wealth protection kit, including a step-by-step guide to get started. That's x22gold.com. It's time to get your money out of the danger zone and into something real. And here's a bonus offer. Get rewarded for getting started. Open a qualified account at x22gold.com and they'll send you 2 5-ounce Silver America the Beautiful coins free. That is x22gold.com or click the link in the description. And remember, there's always a risk of investment and there's no guarantee of any kind. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, big tech, fake news, the puppet masters, they have been baited by Trump, and I do believe Trump is now trapping them. And think about what is happening right now. Remember, this is not a 4-year election. It's not business as usual. They went after Trump with everything that they had. They tried to destroy his life. They tried to kill him. And for people to think that, oh, he's not going to get back at these people, that's absolutely ridiculous. And you have to remember, Trump doesn't do it like you would do it. He doesn't go directly at the enemy. He makes the enemy beg for certain things. So when Trump says, listen, we have no evidence of Epstein, there's nothing there, and the case is closed, and why do you keep bringing it up? He wants the enemy, the deep state players, to beg for it, just like when they went after his taxes. He said, listen, I have my taxes, but I don't want to hand them over. I'm going through an audit, and as soon as it's done, I'll hand them over. So what did he do? Well, he kept the taxes from the deep state players, and he kept saying, oh, no, it's still being audited. Don't worry about it. You'll get it. And what did the D's do? They fought tooth and nail to get what? His taxes. They were begging for it over and over. We got to get him. Let's sue. Let's go. Let's keep going. And Trump kept appealing, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court, and they got his taxes. They were begging for it. And what they realized is that there was nothing there. But he trapped them once again in all of this because now a precedent was set where now you can get the taxes from any politician. And I'm not talking about their personal taxes. I'm talking about their foundation taxes, their institution taxes, their business taxes, and not just from them, from their family members. So he already set that precedent, and he let the D's come after him and beg for it. Now, when I say beg, they're not on their hands and knees and begging. The same thing that's happening with Epstein right now. He put it out there like, you know what, I really don't want to get involved with this. Epstein's not that big of a deal. And of course, as soon as he does that, what do the D's, what does the fake news think? They think that, well, if he's doing this, that means he must be involved and he doesn't want to pursue it, so we must pursue it. Remember, when Trump is going to go after all these people, he's looking at the optics. He's looking at all of this and saying, you know something? If they're going to force this, let them do it. And I'll just say, okay, you're forcing me to do it. You really want an investigation. You want the information. You want whatever we have out there. Okay, here it is. Now, of course, the people that are asking for it, most likely they're not involved with Epstein. And they think that Trump has something to do with Epstein, and he's hiding it. It's called psychological warfare. Remember, we're in an information war. And Pam Bondi, I do believe Elon, and the rest are all playing this game. And think about it. As that announcement came out, and it's a very odd way that it did come out with this weird memo, press release, whatever it was, and you can see the wording is really more like something in the Biden administration than really compared to the Trump administration. I do believe they did it on purpose. And as soon as all that came out, all of a sudden we learned that now Comey and Brennan are being investigated. I do believe the reason for all of this is that all of this is connected. Because remember, the cover-up always gets you. Do I think Trump and the Patriots have all of it? Absolutely. And think about it. Think about Epstein. Think about the blackmail, the bribes. Think about foreign countries involved. Do you really think it's one agency that is investigating? I mean, think about espionage, national security issues, foreign countries. Think about all of it. So do you really think it's just the FBI? Do you really think it's just the DOJ? Or are they passing the information along to the other agencies? Because when they tell you, listen, we don't have the information anymore, where do you think it is? Because when you start to look at the bigger picture and when you start to see that this is a national security issue, and if they were bribing people, if they were blackmailing people, if there were foreign nations involved, this is a much, much bigger issue than originally thought. Because that means you bring in the DOD, you bring in the CIA. Each one is going to do a different investigation into all of this. And this is what happens in this type of investigation. So when you hear that, oh, the DOJ doesn't have it anymore, oh, the FBI doesn't have it anymore, because I do believe other agencies now are investigating what happened here. Now, we're going to be talking a lot more about this a little bit later. But first, let's talk about Douglas Mackey. Remember going all the way back to 2016 when he was putting out memes about Hillary Clinton, and they decided, you know what, we're going to go after this guy. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to speak freely with memes. Well, it looks like they tried and they tried and they tried, and guess what? The Constitution won. The Circuit Court has overturned the conviction of Douglas Mackey in the fake conspiracy to defraud voters by posting memes about voting by text. The feds prosecuted him in New York City because the Twitter servers were there. Charlie Kirk responded to this and said, the Second Circuit has unanimously overturned the conviction of Douglas Mackey, who was prosecuted by the Biden admin for posting illegal memes mocking Hillary Clinton in 2016. Huge win for justice and free speech. Absolutely. Once again, the Constitution is always going to win in the end. And that's exactly what we're seeing. And what's very strange is this weird rumor was going around on social media, and the fake news picked it up. And they kept saying that Trump was going to give amnesty for all the illegals in this country. And they asked Trump a simple question. Is there going to be amnesty? There's no amnesty, Trump said. What we're doing is we're getting rid of criminals, but we are doing a work program. We've got to give the farmers the people they need, but we're not talking amnesty. So this whole thing about amnesty is completely and utterly falling apart. And when you look at the big, beautiful bill, it provides about $46.5 billion for border wall construction and access roads, cameras, lights, and sensors. Also improves border surveillance, including air, marine ops, and efforts to combat drug trafficking, human smuggling, plus funding for more border patrol agents. So this big, beautiful bill is going to actually protect the country, set the country on the right path, and actually start to make moves against the Federal Reserve. That's what this is all about, protecting the country from the deep state, the central bankers, and everybody else. And that's exactly what's happening right now. And you can see this is why the deep state players, they are so panicked. And there are a lot of people that are panicked about what happened with Epstein and what Bondi said and what Trump said. But I do believe this is all part of their plan. And people think that Trump is in a bubble. But is he really in a bubble where he doesn't know what's going on? The Last Refuge put this out and said, allow slow penetration of the super strong membrane around President Trump to take place. Remember, POTUS is inside a bubble. The people around him control information flow. If there's a public sense or a concern that is against the guard's interest, meaning something is priority for the public, but not for the guardians, those who control the office, it takes alternative approaches within the information pipeline to breach the protective membrane. Sometimes the information takes time. Trump is no longer doing rallies, which was the number one way he was able to sense the priorities of the support base. The primary gatekeeper is Susie Wiles. If the subject is not a priority for Wiles, it will not easily penetrate the protective bubble. Now, yeah, he's not doing rallies anymore, and yes, he got a feel of what the people wanted. But think about what else Trump is doing. he doesn't just rely on those individuals within his administration. He actually brings in other people into the White House, which are influencers or outside individuals, to see what they think. One of them is Lara Loomer, and yes, there's many, many others, where he brings them in. He wants to know what's going on. What do you feel? Doesn't mean he acts upon that information, but he gets a sense of what's happening. This is how I do believe he's keeping in touch with the people. Plus, he's still going around and doing press conferences where there's a lot of people around there in different parts of the country, like in Iowa, and he's getting a sense there. So do I believe he's in a protective bubble? I don't think so. I think he's smarter than this. I think he understands that he needs to connect with the people outside of his administration to see what is actually going on compared to what is going on in the administration. So I do believe he has a good sense of what is happening right now. And remember, Trump, he has done this in his business over and over and over. Yes, he has a small, tight group of people, but he also goes out and finds other information and he talks to other people to see what is actually going on. And I do believe this is why he decided that he was going to bait the deep state players into pushing for Epstein. Because you have to remember, this is all part of his plan. If he just came out and said, I'm going to go after you, I'm going to take you down, you were on Epstein Island, the optics wouldn't be that great. Trump, he's going to make the enemy do the work for him. And you could see it already happening. Cheng put this out and said, it's literally insane to say that you won't prosecute child rapists. Trump administration says they were hundreds of underage girls who were raped, and we won't prosecute a single person who did it. Isn't that nuts? Previous administrations also didn't prosecute. What is this? So think about it. All these people now are saying, we must prosecute these people. We must find out what's really going on. Clandestine put this out and said, and just like that, the Dems mainstream media are now clamoring for the Epstein files. We couldn't get the Dems mainstream media to talk about Epstein for 15 plus years. And now they are claiming Trump is one of the ones who is covering all this up. I think there might be more going on here than meets the eye. There are elements to the situation that we as the public don't understand. Perhaps a trap is being laid, but one thing is for certain. The Dems mainstream media are capitalizing on the moment in an attempt to divide Trump's base, and it's working. They have identified a rift in Trump's support and are amplifying it. And think about what Trump has done here. He has actually forced the mainstream media, the deep state players, to talk about Epstein. Remember, when it has to do with him, they'll talk about it. If they think he's covering something up, they will talk about it. And that is what we see happening right now. Awaken Outlaw put this out and said, if you can't see the value of the play involved here, I don't know what to tell you. The Streisand effect is the phenomenon where an attempt to hide, remove, or censor a piece of information actually ends up making it more widely publicized, often due to the internet. So the Streisand effect is when an attempt to suppress or censor information backfires, leading to increased public attention and spread of the information. It's named after Barbra Streisand, who in 2003 tried to block photos of her California home from being published, only for the legal action to draw more attention to the images, causing them to go viral. The effect often occurs when efforts to hide something like a scandal, a mistake, or a controversial content amplify its visibility through media coverage or online sharing, especially on platforms like X, where users can quickly spread information, or platforms like Rumble or Truth or any of these platforms. And that's exactly what is happening right now. And I do believe Elon is adding to this, because think about what he's been putting out there. This is what he put out. Bannon is in the Epstein files. So think about what the fake news is hearing. Think about what the D's are hearing. And think about what they're trying to do right now. Whoa, if Bannon's in there, Trump must be in there and everyone else. So we need to get these files. But Rosie Memos responded to Elon and said, if Elon Musk knows so much about the Epstein files, why hadn't he released it all? Oh, I know why. Because he's lying. But now anyone can pull this shit, because we are left in a sea of ambiguity. So I do believe what Elon is doing, he's using disinformation to make the D's move on the information. Because as soon as you mention Trump or people that orbit Trump, what the D's want to know, what does the fake news want to know? They want to know it all. Community Notes and Violations said, will exposing the Epstein files rank high on the American Party's list? Elon said 100%. And then he said, how can people be expected to have faith in Trump if he won't release the Epstein files? Now, think about it. All the Ds are hearing this, the fake news. And again, if Trump needs to keep the faith of the people, he needs to keep the people with him, he has to release it. So basically, he wants the people to demand it. He wants the Ds to demand it. He wants the fake news to demand it. He wants everyone demanding it. Well, you're the ones who told me I should do this. You demanded that I investigate. You demanded that I release all this information. And right on schedule, House Democrats are taking action after seeing the MAGA fury over Trump's Epstein conclusion. House Judiciary Committee ranking member Jamie Raskin, along with 15 more of the 19 Democrats on the committee, demanded in a letter that Attorney General Pam Bondi release Epstein file documents mentioning Trump. The letter, which rails against Bondi for potentially withholding information that would embarrass the president, comes as the Department of Justice earlier this week released a memo closing the case of Jeffrey Epstein. So think about what they did here. They closed the case. They said there's nothing there. So now the Democrats, they're demanding it. They want it. They're salivating over it. The people are saying, I can't believe this. Why aren't you releasing it? So the people are demanding it. The fake news is demanding it. And now the Ds are demanding it. So Jamie Raskin was one of the signers. Dan Goldman was one of the signers. Jerry Nadler, Steve Cohen, Hank Johnson, Eric Swalwell, Ted Lieu, all the people, because most of these people probably aren't involved in Epstein. You know what's interesting? I found something wild about stem cells. Stem cells are like tiny repair crews in your body, and they go fix things that need to be fixed. I'm going to show you a video where Dr. Eric Berg, one of the most watched health educators on YouTube, he's been talking about this for years.
A stem cell is kind of like this reserve cell that can pretty much change into anything that you need. They're using it now to regenerate fibrosis, which then allows the heart muscle function to improve by 30%. They can do the same thing with liver fibrosis and damaged brain cells. They're getting great results stimulating new cartilage in your joint. Some people are using it for autoimmune diseases like MS, and also to help rejuvenate skin cells to actually make the skin young again. There's also stem cells for cancer. It's very important to understand how to keep that stem cell population at the highest level.
The thing about stem cells is that they are crazy expensive. People in Hollywood are spending $50,000 for one placenta stem cell injection. Honestly, I don't have that kind of cash on me right now. Luckily, my guys at Black Forest developed cocoa flavonols. Studies have been done to show the flavonols in cocoa stimulates stem cells to come out of your bone marrow like bees coming out of a beehive in your bloodstream. And they go and they find whatever needs to be repaired. If it's in your heart, they'll fix it. If it's in your liver, they'll fix it. If it's in your skin, they'll fix it. Harvard scientist Dr. William Lee actually backs this up. Check it out.
Well, clinical studies have been done with high flavanol cocoa to show that in like men who are in their 60s with heart disease, they could actually just have 2 cups of dark chocolate hot cocoa a day for a month. Yeah. And they doubled the amount of stem cells in their bloodstream, and their circulation improved measurably. And then what's even more important and impressive is that there was a study called the Cosmos study that was completed recently that showed that eating high flavanol cocoa decreases the risk of cardiovascular death.
Yeah.
Right, over a period
like a statin.
Like a statin, right. Exactly. Except made with by eating the same thing that you use to make chocolate.
That's
so we're not telling people to go out to have chocolate, which is a confection, which has got a lot of sugar and all kinds of other stuff in it. Yeah. But it's the stuff underneath it, the core of it.
I mix it in my coffee or protein shakes. It tastes great and the benefits are real. No sugar, only 20 calories. If you're experiencing significant aging, slow recovery, weak immunity, or just feeling off, blame your lazy stem cells. But guess what? Cocoa flavonols activate them like a fountain of youth in a scoop. Studies show that cocoa flavonols increase stem cell circulation by over 100%. Go to my link in the description or pinned comment down below. Then for the next 48 hours, you can get a whopping 45% off store-wide July 4th promo for 48 hours only. Stock up while you can. It's, again, Black Forest High Flavonols Cocoa. That is blackforestsupplements.com/X22, or just click the link in the description. And what this means is that Trump now has them begging, think about this for a second, he has them begging for the information instead of Trump just coming out and saying, here's the Epstein information. Do you think that would have gotten a lot of attention, or do you think the fake news would actually go with it? You think that they would wake up the people about the Epstein files? Because a lot of people are saying, I don't really care about the Epstein files. Now they really care about it. And now when the files are released, Do you think the production of this is going to be huge? Absolutely. And you can see the poll numbers, they're showing that the people actually want this. Rasmussen Reports put this out and said, the Trump administration promised to publish previously secret records about the activities of convicted sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein and his associates, but have made little progress in doing so. How important is it to get these files into the public domain? 36% very important, 31% important. So we're having about 67% of the people, they're saying, yeah, we need to get this out there. And what's very, very interesting, and if we flash back, and Clandestine put this out, when he was on Joe Rogan, Cash sounded like he was trying to tell us that the evidence is not at the FBI DOJ, that it's gone from these agencies. Cash hinted that he doesn't have the Epstein tapes people are looking for and says where else it could be. Cash very clearly said that if he had access to the evidence showing criminals engage in felonious activity on Epstein Island, we would know about it. Then proceeds to hint that the evidence we are looking for might be somewhere else. People have been alleging this means Cash is engaged in a cover-up, but I think he's trying to tell us that someone else already covered it up, and the evidence is somewhere else, whether that be the CIA, a different agency hidden somewhere, another nation's intelligence agency, destroyed, etc. So let's think about this for a second. If this is a national, remember, this is not just pedophilia. This is not just human trafficking. This is actually blackmailing judges, blackmailing politicians, bribing people, getting them to do certain things. So this is actually a national security case in the United States. And the agencies involved depend on the nature of the case. Example, terrorism, espionage, cyber threats, or foreign interference. And let's say this was espionage. Let's say that this was foreign interference. What agencies would be involved? Well, the FBI, they would look at this information. The CIA would look at this information. The National Security Agency, they would look at this because they monitor and collect signals intelligence to detect communications related to espionage or foreign interference. Department of Justice would also look at this. DHS, they're involved in foreign interference targets, critical infrastructure. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence, the ODNI, the Department of State, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the Department of Defense. Remember, if there's espionage, national security problem, foreign interference, and this links to maybe elections, it links to having certain politicians bribed or judges bribed to do the bidding of the foreign government or the domestic terrorists in this country, or the domestic terrorists or the criminal syndicate, all these agencies would be involved. Think about that for a second. So when Cash says, oh, we don't have it, it's probably someplace else, does it mean they're really covering it up? Or is it at another agency because they're looking through the information, the data, because they're all involved in this? So I do believe we're starting to see that there's multiple agencies involved in the investigation. This is much, much larger than someone just sleeping with a underage girl. Because remember, if this is a honeypot, which it is, they were bribing, they were blackmailing, foreign governments were involved. This is a national security threat. It's much, much bigger than just crimes against children, which is a bad thing. I'm not saying it isn't, but it's much, much larger. And I do believe this is why the other agencies are probably handling it right now. And I do believe this is why Trump got the ball rolling, because he knew the announcement was going to come out that they were investigating Comey and Brennan. And I do believe that this all links back to Mueller, because, again, all these different agencies and Mueller, what did they do? They covered up all this information. They covered up the Russian collusion information, and I do believe they also covered up the Epstein information. So I do believe all of these things are connected. It's all connected. It's the same players. And I do believe Trump is actually building this narrative up right now to show the people how it's all connected. Now, it looks like Linda Yaccarino, she decided to step down as the CEO of X. And she was there for something like 2 years or so. She put up a whole post saying that she's moving on right now. And once again, I guess all we can say here is bye-bye. I don't think a lot of people liked her anyhow. I don't think people thought she was a good fit with X. And it looks like maybe the things that she wanted to do there, try to control speech, it didn't work the way she thought it was going to work. And now she's leaving. And the entire world is moving in a complete and utter different direction. Since Biden is now out of the White House, all the censorship and everything else that you saw is going by the wayside. We're looking at free speech. Yes, we know that Europe and other nations, they're still pushing the hate speech and they're still censoring. But you can see with the United States now on the opposite side, everything's going to change in these countries because, again, when you see free speech once again in this country, those other countries, the people of those countries are going to want that. So we could see that everything is now heading in a completely and utterly different direction. And it looks like Trump is now giving Brazil a second warning. Remember, he put out a post about Bolsonaro where he said, leave him alone, stop the witch hunt. Well, he retruthed that same post and he says, leave the great former president of Brazil alone, witch hunt. I do believe this is the second warning for Brazil and the deep state players there, because I do believe Trump is ready to make a move or do something that they're not going to expect. But we'll have to see how this all plays out. This is going to be very, very interesting. Now, the other thing that we could see is that as Mamdani runs for the mayoral election in New York City, more and more people are digging up information. And Annie No points out that a top former staffer to Mamdani is a convicted child sex offender. Miranda Devine says, oh, what a surprise. Not. And I don't think people are really surprised about this. And I think the people of New York, they're starting to realize that this individual, he is not going to work out well in New York. Now, I do believe that he doesn't have a chance in hell, because if we had fair elections, he would lose. But because New York is so corrupt that they might try to install him. So what that means is that New Yorkers better come out and override their system. And we'll have to see how it all plays out in the end. But again, the only way they can get that individual in there is to cheat, just like they install all the other people in all the different government offices. But I think in the end, as the country removes, or Trump issues the executive orders and makes it very, very difficult for the deep state players to cheat, I do believe in the end, we're going to see that the D's, they won't be able to win any type of election. Now, the other thing that we could see is that the White House doctor under Biden, Kevin O'Connor, it looks like his executive privilege was waived, which means he can go in front of Congress and he can speak freely about what Biden's mental acuity is, what his health was like. And he decided that, you know something, I'm not going to testify. I'm going to plead the fifth. Representative James Comer put this out and said, President Joe Biden's physician, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, just plead the fifth at his deposition before Congress today. It's now clear there was a conspiracy to cover up Biden's cognitive decline after Dr. Kevin O'Connor, Biden's physician and family business associate, refused to answer any questions and chose to hide behind the Fifth Amendment. The American people demand transparency, but Dr. O'Connor would rather conceal the truth. Dr. O'Connor took the fifth when asked if he was told to lie about Biden's health and whether he was fit to be president of the United States. Congress must assess legislative solutions to prevent such a cover-up from happening again. We will continue to interview more Biden White House aides to get the answers Americans deserve. Now think about it. He refused to answer the question if Biden was able to hold the position of the president. And if he took the fifth, it means that he was not. Now, again, this has to be proven, but what happens if it is proven and finally the doctor or other people or other information on his medical records comes out and it shows that he was not fit to be president of the United States? Think about that for a second, which means then all the executive orders and everything else, did he sign it? Didn't he sign it? Did he know what was going on? We have a major, major problem here. And I do believe once people start to understand and starting to realize that he was never fit for office, people are going to question the entire presidency. And when they find out that he was involved in the auto pen, most of what he has done is going to be null and void. Now, think about it. Going back to 2020, we had Obama, Brennan, Comey, Clapper, you name it, all these people probably involved in the overthrow of the United States government. They were involved in the insurrection. And they ran the country during these last 4 years. They used the auto pen to sign almost everything, which means everything that they've done is null and void. And since Trump allowed them to put Biden in the White House, let him live there, I do believe this is how Trump is able to basically reverse everything that was done during this period, because he was never the president. And when the information comes out that they overthrew the United States government and they installed Biden as a puppet, well, then everything is null and void, which means, does Trump get another 4 years? What's the remedy for this? If it's shown that they cheated in the election, which I do believe in the end, people are going to find out that they did cheat, which means, does Trump get another 4 years? This is going to be very, very interesting moving forward. Now, the other thing that we can see is that the Supreme Court, they've approved a request for intervention by the High Court and blocked a lower level court ruling that stopped the Trump administration from reducing the size of government. So now Trump can reduce the payrolls, he can shrink them, he can shrink government down by quite a bit, because now the Supreme Court has overruled the lower courts. And what's very interesting is that Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, she really doesn't know what's going on. It looks like she's a DEI hire, and basically she was confused about the law. Very interesting. Charlie Kirk put this out and said, for the second time in 2 weeks, a Supreme Court justice is using her opinion to scold Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson for not understanding what she is talking about. Twist, this time it's progressive Justice Sonia Sotomayor doing it, patiently explaining that the court can't declare an order of President Trump's to be unconstitutional if the order does not actually exist yet. Imagine how much of a drag it must be to have the DEI justice embarrassing your side. Now, think about why they wanted to bring in all these DEIs, because these individuals, they were never going to follow the Constitution. The Supreme Court would be a complete and utter mess. And that's what they were trying to do. And this is how they were trying to get things through. And the Supreme Court wouldn't be able to stop them, because they would have all these DEI people in there, all the progressive people in there, and they would just allow the deep state players to do whatever they want. Just like when you look at the judiciary, when you look at the prosecutors in all the different states, when you look at judges in all the different states, they installed these people, they blackmailed them. This way, they can actually push their agenda. But now it's completely and utterly falling apart, because now James Comey, John Brennan, they're being investigated. And I do believe this is just the beginning. The storm, I do believe, is right above us, and it's starting to hit. And we're going to see that this is connected to almost everything. Remember, the Epstein files is not directly related to Trump. What John Brennan did, what James Comey did, what Hillary Clinton did, what Obama did, that was directly involving Trump. But I do believe all of this is connected, and I do believe this is why Trump set up the narrative this way. But Patriots Are Control put this out and said, these two Q drops came back to back on September 11, 2020. James Comey, John Brennan, treason. And now Comey and Brennan are officially under investigation by Kash Patel's FBI. It's happening. And the two posts just continually repeat, James Comey, treason, John Brennan, treason. And they look like the Twin Towers, which is very, very interesting, because it's repeated over and over and over and over. And as they investigate these two individuals, I know what people want. Oh, let's arrest them. Let's put them in jail. Let's try them. Again, we go back to the same thing. What federal court are you trying them? What, Boasberg? Okay, let's say they get a trial with Boasberg or any of the other judges. How do you think that's going to work out? You think he's going to be like, oh yeah, let's convict these two. Let's follow the rule of law. Let's really get these guys. No, they're going to defend them. They're not going to allow certain evidence to be admissible. And these two individuals will probably get off. We already tried this. I do believe what happened between 2016 and 2020 was a test to see how the court systems work, how they are leaning left, how they're corrupt. And once Trump saw all of this, he realized what needed to be done. And what needed to be done was to expose all of it first, and then replace those individuals that are corrupt, because otherwise it's not going to work. But remember, one leads to another, which leads to another. Brian Cates put this out and said, let me explain something for those of you in Rio Linda. You cannot run a criminal investigation into the roles that Comey and Brennan played in launching and sustaining the Spygate hoax without also examining the roles in the massive RICO criminals conspiracy played by Hillary Clinton, Jake Sullivan, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Susan Rice, Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, Joseph Pienka, Lisa Page, Sally Yates, Lisa Monaco, Christopher Steele, Igor Dachenko, Bruce and Nellie Orr, Stephen Halper, Glenn Simpson, Loretta Lynch, Mark Elias, James Clapper, Michael Sussman, and many, many others. Yes, one will lead to another, which leads to another. And I do believe as they keep digging, they're going to find out what Mueller has done, what Mueller has covered up, and they're going to expose the entire thing. Now, again, Trump, the Patriots, they have all this information. Again, what they're doing is they're educating the public, and they're allowing the public to digest all of this. Because, again, without exposing all this, how are you supposed to bring accountability if people don't know what they did? And I do believe it is connected to Mueller and is also connected to Epstein. Let's go back to post 3473. This is July 24, 2019. It says, there are puppets, there are puppet masters. Which is Mueller? Attempt to replace James Comey as FBI director failed. Attempt to regain FBI control. Plot and plan backup to initiate Supreme Court to safeguard against criminal prosecution, illegal and criminal actions. Supreme Court equals blockade. Supreme Court equals loss of FBI command, control, safeguard. DOJ depends on what agency for investigating criminal actions. Mueller, Uranium One. Mueller, Epstein, bury, and cover up. Mueller, plot to remove duly elected POTUS. Biggest scandal in American history, treason. 2019 year of the boomerang. And it doesn't mean 2019 is the year, because I do believe these years are offset. So I wouldn't be surprised if next year is the year of the boomerang. I mean, it's begun right now, but I do believe a lot of information is going to be coming out, and we're going to find out that these individuals, that's all connected with Epstein, because I do believe a lot of the agencies within the U.S. and foreign governments, they were basically using Epstein to blackmail politicians, blackmail certain individuals in Hollywood, blackmail judges, which means this is a national security issue. And I do believe they've been using a lot of these individuals to spy on certain people, like Trump. And I do believe that this then goes to many, many different agencies. And these agencies have to look at the evidence. Because, again, each agency comes into play when there's a national security issue. And I do believe that's what we're witnessing right now. And I do believe we're going to find out a lot more. Basically, the deep state players, they took the bait. And now they're the ones who are demanding everything. Trump is not. The optics look absolutely fantastic. And I do believe it was done on purpose. Think about art of the deal. See, you expect to go directly at the deep state players. I'm going to tell you right now, if Trump went after the deep state players like Reagan did, like JFK did, like Lincoln did, he went after the central bankers, he created the greenback, it would end terribly. Not just for the individual, but for the people of this country. That's what they were planning on. Why do you think Biden called us domestic terrorists? Do you think it really came from him, or was he told to say that? Because that's how Brennan, Obama, Clapper, and the rest, that's how they see us. They see us as domestic terrorists. So if Trump went directly at them, used the full force of the U.S. government, and tried to arrest these people, what do you think these people would do? Why would you hit them when they have leverage, when they're strong, when they can hurt the American people? You wouldn't do it that way. What you do is you weaken them over time. You remove everything from them. Then you have those people beg for the information. See, the optic looks great, and you basically remove the threat of violence against the American people. And I do believe that's exactly what Trump is doing, just like he did with his tax returns and everything else, actually. So in the end, I do believe we're going to see that, yes, there is going to be an investigation, but it might not be the way you think it's going to be. There might even be local prosecutors in all the different states that go after those individuals that were involved in Epstein. We'll have to see how this all plays out. It might even be the military. Remember, it's a national security issue. Now, the other thing that we could see is that Trump, he is now getting a road named after him. He put this out on Truth. He said the following: "It has been brought to my attention that the great state of Florida, which I won big 3 times, and where I am proud resident, has renamed an important 4-mile stretch of Southern Boulevard in Palm Beach County to President Donald J. Trump Boulevard. Thank you to Palm Beach County, Governor Ron DeSantis, and all the Floridians, great state lawmakers, on granting me this wonderful honor. I love Florida." And I do believe it's from the Palm Beach airport all the way to Mar-a-Lago. That is the stretch of road that's going to be the President Donald J. Trump Boulevard. And congratulations to the president in getting a road named after him. He deserves it. And we can see the deep state players, they are definitely going down the path that Trump and the Patriots want. Now remember, if the deep state players don't do what Trump wants, he always pats them a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. And I do believe this is most likely why he's using Elon. Because think about it, just a little couple of posts out there, mentioning Bannon, mentioning Trump, what happens? It pushed the deep state players to where he wanted them to be. Remember going back when they said, Trump was involved in Epstein Island? The D's started to think. The D's say, that's interesting. Elon is fighting with him. Now he's bringing out the truth. Information has to be in there. We need it. We need it bad. And now Trump is saying, hey, wait a minute. I don't want to have anything to do with it. I think he was a crazy guy and there's no investigation. And now the fake news, the D's are saying, whoa, wait a minute. First, Elon said it. Now he doesn't want to even look into it. Oh, he's involved in it. We got to get that information. This is how you bait the deep state players. And now if anything comes out against any of those individuals in the Deep Party, judges, Hollywood, it's their fault. Not Trump's. It's their fault. Optics look good. Patriots are in control. Listen, everyone. Thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.